Hello, this is Lynn Productions, and welcome to the hot seat. And the hot seat.
I'm Coach Fred Staugh. I'm the athletic director and head football coach here at Monahans.
What kind of college did you go to?
So I went to the University of Colorado for 2 years, played football there, and then I transferred to Indiana State University for 3 years, played football there.
All right. What inspired you to be a football coach?
Well, I think it's really twofold. Obviously, I had great mentors and coaches when I was in high school and in college. And then the other part of it is, too, I just love the game of football. I mean, it's one of my favorite things ever.
So, what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, I'd say a typical day, I get here somewhere between 4:45 and 6 a.m. And then we usually have either quarterback, running back meetings before school, or we have, like today, we had practice. We had offensive practice from 6 to 7. And then after that, there's a lot of laundry involved usually, and then watch film, catch up on athletic director duties, answer emails, spend money, because I'm in charge of all of the budgets for all of athletics. So there's that, and then in the middle of the day we have fifth period, so our guys are either lifting or they're out on the field, so that's another type of practice. And then after that, it's more laundry and logistics, making sure our practice plans are all good to go, watching more opponent film, watching our own film for self-scouting purposes. And then, even in the morning we also have 7th grade football practice. In the afternoon we have 8th grade football practice, and then we have high school practice after school. So really it looks, it's basically a lot of football related stuff from 6 a.m. to about 8 p.m.
Okay. How do you approach coaching a football team?
Well, I think you've got to be super disciplined and organized. So I'd like to think that I'm organized. Every Sunday we have a staff meeting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I have an agenda of all the things that we've done and we need to do, and keep everybody on task and make sure we're taking care of all that stuff. So I think communication is big, and I think organization is huge.
How do you foster teamwork?
Well, that one's kind of easy for us. Football is really my first love, so I have a lot of good things to say about it. But to me, it's the ultimate team sport. I can turn on film, I can show it to you right now, where it takes all 11 guys on every play doing their job to make it go the way it's supposed to go. If you have one guy who's not doing his job, then the play falls apart, or defensively we give up a score. And that happens sometimes, but everything that we do is based on team. That's why we always break it out, family, right? We're trying to be as close-knit as humanly possible. That goes into our team meetings and all of that type of stuff. So, to me, it's the ultimate team sport.
How do you tailor your coaching to players' individual needs or strengths?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. I really am. So there's a buzzword in education that's called differentiation. All right, and that's really so that when you're teaching kids, right, all of you have different skills and you have different ways that you learn, right? Well, you think like in football, it's all like cookie cutter. You're going to coach every kid the same way, but that's not how it works, right? So we have, I really think that coaches are the best teachers for a reason, because we're on a very competitive stage every Friday night, right? Like we have to win. But you also have to find out how your guys learn. So a lot of it is film-based, right? Where we watch practice with our kids and say, hey, remember you're supposed to do this instead of this. We get on the board, we draw it up, right? There's a lot of visual learning that goes on. But then also the biggest thing I think for football is it really all comes down to effort, but how do you reach each individual kid? Right, so some kids will respond to you getting after them and yelling at them and all that, like the old school coaching. Some won't. If you yell at some kids, they'll shut down. So you've got to really, really pay attention to each individual player and make sure you know what makes him go and how he learns. And that's how we try to make sure we're always on top of that and paying attention to what our guys need.
How do you prepare your team mentally and physically before a game?
Yeah, I think that's huge. So my my thinking on that has evolved over the last few years. we used to be real old school where we'd go out on Monday after a game and we'd practice for about 2.5 hours in full pads, right? Well, physically, especially like last year, we played 14 games, right? That takes a toll. I mean, you're playing only 3 fewer games than the NFL, right? So what we've done is Mondays from 4 to 5 we meet. We watch film, we talk about what they're going to do, we talk about what we're going to do against them, and then we practice for about an hour, right? So they get to basically like learn the game plan first and then go out and execute some of it on Monday, right? And then on Tuesday we break up our practice, offense in the morning, special teams during 5th period, defense after school. So they're never really on the field more than an hour per session, right? And then Wednesday we're about an hour and a half. Thursday is all basically like run through, no contact, right, to make sure physically we're starting to heal and all of that type of stuff. And then in between all that, we have meetings Monday morning, Tuesday after practice, Wednesday morning, Wednesday after practice, Thursday after run through, Friday during the period. I mean, it is it's just constant coaching. Like, it never stops. And that's part of my job too, is to make sure our coaches never stop coaching, right? Because I'm the head football coach. So it is just a constant learning environment for our guys. I never want to take a rep off. I never want to let them do something without us saying, yes, that was right, or no, we need to do this instead.
Is there still stuff you need to learn as a head football coach?
That's a good question. I mean, I think so. You know, and the reason I say that, this is year 16 of coaching. This is my 7th year as a head coach. But I think the biggest thing is you never know what you're going to come across on a day-to-day basis, right? There may be a scenario that happens that you've never seen before, right? Because you're dealing with, let's say, 109 kids, right? Parents, administrators, all that type of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I'm constantly looking for things to learn and ways to get better, even offensively, right? I mean, even in the off season, we meet from January to March as a staff on Wednesday nights to get ready for spring and summer. So it's just it's a constant. The game keeps evolving too, so you've got to keep learning.
So what advice do you have for individuals aspiring to become a football coach?
I guess the advice I would have when you're young is to make sure you listen and learn. If it's something that you're really passionate about, you need to gain as much knowledge about it as possible. But then also, I mean, you've got to be ready to sacrifice time. You know, our coaches work probably 100 to 105 hours a week. I mean, it's Monday through Sunday. It's every day. Like, we don't take days off. So you've got to be willing to work. You've got to be willing to soak up knowledge and learn. And some guys are really good at that, right? And that's great. And we have young guys on staff who have done a really good job. But knowledge is huge. The workload, being able to handle that is a big deal. And then make sure you can communicate and that you're organized and that you can build relationships with kids. Because the biggest part of it is, like, our kids are really good about working hard and doing what you ask them to do. But it's a lot easier for them to do what you're asking them to do and get their butts chewed when they don't, when they know that you love them, right? That you care about them, that you're doing it for their best interest. So I think all those things are very important in